Think you're gambling with World War III.
There are times where I wonder if Trump is a geopolitical autist. Now, what do I mean by this? I believe, or at least I define geopolitical autism in my context as some politician or president or head of state who does not understand diplomatic norms and fails to achieve the diplomatic outcomes that he desires. Wow, of course, this is not a defense of diplomatic norms across a lot of our failed political establishment.
Wait, you're getting nervous, man.
And they're right to be disregarded. So nevertheless, I do not think the Trump method is any better.
You're fired.
At least when it comes to European and Canadian affairs. Canada is the most striking as, while I'm not a fan of the Conservative candidate, Pierre Poilievre, as I see him as Romney 2.0, and I just believe Pierre Poilievre would not fix Canada's decline and moral corruption. However, Trump definitely did a massive hit on him in his popularity in Canada. Like, I don't like the Conservatives, but at least they're the lesser of evils when compared to the Liberals under Mark Carney and Trudeau, and Trump has basically destroyed their Conservative Party. While of course, things can still turn around, and I could see further scandals potentially hurting the Liberal Party, such as the Paul Chan case, or further scandals that will come up in the campaign as the election's on the 28th. So it's not too late to turn things around. However, given current trajectories, it's probably unlikely. And the Canadian Conservatives would be much more friendly to the US in normal circumstances than under the current Trump administration due to its threats to annex Canada.
I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state.
Which, to be fair, he has kind of rolled it back after, like, the last week or so, given his more friendly relationships with Mark Carney. But still, this is still very jarring as someone who wants to see Trudeau and his party kicked out forever.
Wow, that is impressive. Watch your tie. So listen, if I could just ask you one question about the SNC Lavalin scandal?
And then you've got Greenland. Wow, I don't mind Greenland becoming part of the US as a territory in principle. But Trump and Vance seems to be only using the stick rather than the carrot when it comes to persuading Greenlanders. Also, why is everything being broadcast in public? I'm not a fan of John Bolton's neoconservatism, but I think when it comes to his idea that negotiating with Greenland should be done in private, I think he does have a point. And even if you're going to say it publicly about your desire to get Greenland, maybe say, okay, we will not affect your universal healthcare system. We will not affect your way of life. You can become a compact of free association states. Or, if you want to become a US territory, you will get all the same benefits, if not more so, due to the revenues coming from the United States. And you will not be another Puerto Rico. But instead, he has alienated a lot of Greenlanders and Denmark, and basically, due to Denmark being a part of the European Union, he now kind of has to deal with the whole 27-nation bloc. And then you've got Ukraine, which I'm not saying Zelensky dealt with Trump correctly. I have my own separate criticisms of him in his negotiation and dealing with Trump, aka being overly critical. But for those people who think Trump is some diplomatic masterstroke when he's lecturing Zelensky in the Oval Office on February the 28th.
Think you're gambling with World War III.
Like, you do realize it's not about who looks right or wrong or who looks tough or weak. It just looks weird, and it looks like the US has a temper tantrum. And it's true that Zelensky kind of started the argument, but for most people in the world, they will only look at the last 10 to 15 minutes, and it definitely doesn't give Trump a good look. I mean, if you're going to defend Trump's handling of the Oval Office meeting, why hasn't he gotten his own mineral deal signed? Like, if he signed the minerals deal and then lectured Zelensky afterwards, I can at least defend it from a diplomatic standpoint. At least America got his minerals that he needs, and that, the US finally puts Zelensky in his place. But no. This is according to when I'm recording this on April the 2nd, and this video will be released in a few days' time. And the minerals deal still hasn't been signed, as of yet. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind Trump in a lot of things. I think a lot of his Doge cuts were necessary.
His reorganization of foreign aid to suit the American interests.
It's definitely a plus, especially given the leftist infiltration of US aid and Voice of America and whatnot. And I think Trump rightfully dealt a blow, at least a short-term blow to the woke left in America. However, his diplomatic missteps have definitely galvanized a lot of the establishment politicians worldwide, especially in Europe and Canada, because a lot of the establishment politicians will at least campaign on defying the US under a guise of nationalism, whereas it is just globalism and anti-Americanism disguised as being patriotic. This is where I think Trump has gotten wrong, and I hope he changes course as soon as possible.